And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're back in business with a showdown between the Vampire Counts and the Brave Dowie. So it is going to be a LAHMIAN Vampire Lord for my Vampire Counts, and it looks like it is going to be Grombrindle, the White Dwarf, here for Wary Wolf. But he does not come alone. A little bit of dwarvish technology coming to bear. It is going to be the double Master Engineer, which I actually like quite a bit. I think it's a really cool kind of tech piece. The double Fiery Ring of Thori gives you magic damage, and a lot of Vampire Coast players, Vampire Count players in this matchup really like to use Sirens as well as the Cairn Rates to kind of mix in some sticky armor-piercing durability. So having these rings which do fire damage and magic damage to kill them very quickly, I think is a really, really clever tech. On top of that, the double Master Engineers do have really good armor-piercing shots, and they're fairly accurate. So for example, if I have a LAHMIAN Vampire Lord flying above trying to get really good breath attacks on his elite units, he can just pretty much put them in guard mode and just shoot the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord the entire battle. And even if I'm trying to juke, it's very, very hard to juke these direct shots coming in from the Master Engineer. So I really love that pick for my opponent here. Now for my army, it's pretty basic. We got an entire front battle line of the Graveguard Great Weapons, 2 Cairn Rates on the flanks, and despite the fact that they do magic damage, they're very sticky, they're maneuverable, they cause terror, they bring a fair amount to the table in this matchup, and I do think they're worth bringing. So I have 2 in total, a single Black Coach, a bunch of Fellbats in case there was some gyrocopter shenanigans, LAHMIAN Vampire Lord on the Dragon. He's pretty good in this matchup, in my opinion. I think you can go with like Vlad von Karstein on foot. He has good armor piercing and durability. There's a multitude of options for the Vampire Counts, but LAHMIAN Lord I like quite a bit. If you do get caught in a smoke bomb, or let's say they have Trollhammer torpedoes and you're in kind of a pickle, you can pop the lightning fast reflexes to get 22% ward save, and you can also use the sweet seduction and seduce Grombrindle. Apparently, quite some fun stuff. Black Coach, some Black Knights on the far side, and that is it for my army. There's a couple variants I'd like to use against Dowie. This is kind of one version. Sometimes I like to use 2 Black Coaches, but in general, I think it's an okay build. And we do have the Feasters in the Dusk. So for my opponent's army here, he's got Longbeards, Miners with Blasting Charges. He does have Longbeards with Great Opens, a double Master Engineer Grombrindle, Dragonback Slayers, basic Slayers, or Giant Slayers actually. But something I really actually think is quite cool here is the Peak Gate Guard. And a lot of people forget that these mighty Dowie do indeed have magic damage, so if somebody's going to get quite sneaky with the Cairn Race, these Peak Gate Guard can really hammer them down and give them the old business, the old 1-2 punch there. So Fellbat's going to be flying over immediately. I didn't know if there was like some sneaky Rangers or perhaps something hidden in his forces, so I figured I'd fly overhead and kind of see what was cracking, but I quickly realized it's pretty much just Master Engineers. The army he does have here is very expensive, right? It has 2 elite units of hammers. Now, the first order of business is number 1, get out of range of those Master Engineers so I don't give him free damage, and you can see I've already taken, I think, 1 or 2 shots there. Certainly not fun. That second one does hit home, taking me down about 300 HP. Don't want to be taking that damage early, so just going to be taking my sweet time, trying to get that nice surround, and then from there using the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord breath attacks to pretty much methodically pick off his elite troops, right? Because Graveguard Great Weapons will trade super efficiently with this entire army, with the exception of the Dwarven Hammers who are supported by Grombrindle, so got to be a little bit careful there. So first we will be sending in the zombies here. The zombies, of course, have a pretty massive erect HP pool of 7.5k. No blasting charges here. Zombies are often used to absorb the blasting charges. They, of course, only cost 100 gold. So like a blasting charge, you're only going to lose like, a little chunk of change. Here we do have some Cairn Race going in, so Cairn Race will attack the Longbeards. Longbeards will be able to put up a good fight here, of course, and I don't know who would win in a straight fight, but a really nice play from my opponent. He opens up with the Fiery Ring of Thori, and I have to be completely honest, I was not expecting that. I haven't seen a Master Engineer in a long time in this matchup. That's huge value. He pretty much leads one of my, not more expensive units, but a unit that does cost over 700 gold to crumbling very, very early in the battle. So beautiful tech from my opponent. And in response, I do bring the Fellbats in. I dive after the Master Engineers, trying to shut those bad boys down while I continue to line up a breath attack. So the Great Opens have partially piled in. Over here, we do have Graveguard Great Opens that will be engaging the Longbeards with shields, and they will win that engagement in the long run. Also, we have some Giant Slayers in the backfield, which is why you bring Feasters in the Dusk. They can actually do quite well against Slayer units, but my opponent wisely pulls those bad boys back, and he seems to be in pretty good shape here in the early game. Black Coach going to be drifting away. It did take some damage from Grombrindle, but we got a huge breath attack, which I didn't get to show you guys on the PK card, which I was quite happy about, but I make a little bit of a misplay diving in here. He does respond with the Flash Bomb, but thankfully my Graveguard Great Weapons were nearby, and they should be able to pile in and probably defeat the Graveguard, or excuse me, the PK card relatively easily with the support of the zombies if they decide to stay in combat, but instead a very healthy unit of hammers is going to be substituting in their position, and those bad boys should be going in relatively soon. So this is also a good situation here. We have Cairn Rates fighting Giant Slayers as well as Dragonback Slayers. Their DPS will be pretty heavily blunted by the Ethereal status, and it also does allow me time to get the Feasters in the Dusk in position. Feasters in the Dusk or at the Dusk? I suppose they feast at dusk as well, or in the dusk, whatever your particular opinion is there. But we do summon a zombie on top of Giant Slayers. Giant Slayers really hate to fight things that, are essentially chaff units, right? So summoning the zombies will be able to whittle quite a bit of HP down off those Giant Slayers and keep them from getting to a more valuable target. So seeing we created a bit of a screen here, right? We blocked off the Giant Slayers and the Dragonback Slayers and the reinforcements. That does allow us to get our 2 big monsters and fight relatively uninterrupted. So the Black Coach going to be going after the Longbeards here in conjunction with the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord, as well as the Graveguard Grey Opens. But another Fiery Ring of Thori going down. Pretty cool item, man. That's been doing some great work for my opponent this game, and certainly will be a factor for the balance of power going a little bit in his favor here. Not super substantial, but a little bit here. So Black Knights, Feasters in the Dusk moving in, trying to finish off the Gate Guard. Really, I just wanted to get rid of his magic damage so my Cairn Race could be a little bit happier. I did manage to stabilize one of them in the backfield here. I think the other one just got absolutely karate chopped by the Fiery Rings of Thori. I'm pretty sure that thing just waddled around the battlefield and did end up going down in the very end. Black Knights are stuck in sustained combat here against Slayers. Certainly not the prettiest situation in the world. I should be pulling those guys back. They do have that bonus versus infantry, though. Can get some decent damage there. But really, I was just trying to angle so hard to get those breath attacks here on the Hammerers. Those cursed Master Engineers, man, putting some good steady DPS on the LAHMIAN Lord. I have, of course, gotten a couple invocations off. Or at least one, I think, which was able to mitigate some of that damage. But they have been causing some problems. So here, 40 Graveguard, 17 Cairn Race working there. On this side of the battlefield, we do have the 61 Graveguard with Grey Opens, who've obviously done very well. They're up to 721 value. Should be able to cut through these Longbeards as well as his other unit. Looks like there's about 49 in total versus my 56 Graveguard, so that should be a pretty good situation. Now, I got a little bit ahead of myself here. I do decide to attack Grombrindle. I thought, hey, he's facing this way. He wouldn't be able to turn around quick enough. So I do use lightning fast reflexes to get away, which will certainly save me some damage because Slayers have a slow effect. Grombrindle has a slow effect. But yeah, I'm going to be taking some freebies here, so a little bit of a misplay charging in there. Got to be very careful with your big dragons, especially when the White Dwarf is nearby. That man hits very, very hard. Incredibly good melee attack, and he does also have 500 weapon strength and a slowing ability. He brings a lot of good stuff to the table, but on this side, a pretty good victory. The Graveguard as well as the Black Coach able to break down those Dwarven troops in a really, really good Fiery Ring of Thori, man. Those things are just doing so much damage. The rings, the 1 ring, the 2 rings to rule them all. 2 rings were given to the Dwarves. But nonetheless, the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord able to put some sweet moves here onto Grombrindle, and to buy some time for the dragon to feast, I do drop a zombie summon, which partially blocks the Slayers, and Grombrindle will also have to go around those guys right there. And we're getting some good damage. We are able to get, I would say, 1 good attack here on the Master Engineer, but I was a little bit disappointed. Tried to seduce that bad boy, but it didn't work out too well, and we weren't able to quite connect with him, but Fiery Ring's doing some really good work. I think in total he's been able to kill a Cairn Wraith outright, as well as my Feasters in the Dusk here using those abilities, which normally it would take some time to kill those said units, right? So we still have a fair amount of Graveguard. The Dwarves have pulled ahead a little bit in this battle. Certainly not the point of no return, but if I do want to get ahead in this game again, I'm really going to have to make a conscious effort to lure Grombrindle away from the Master Engineers, and then get the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord, go in there on the Zombie Dragon, and take them out. So that's certainly going to be my goal going forward. Here we have the Hammer teams fighting the remnants of the Cairn Race. Cairn Race, like I said, do have good AP value, so if they can connect, they'll certainly do quite good. The Black Coach also riding through them, getting some okay damage, but yeah, the Hammer teams are able to get terrified here, which is nice. Probably going to be able to chase them down and maybe route them off the battlefield. So here comes the dragon, just kind of flying about, looking for opportunities. 54 Graveguard with Grey Opens here, making some quick work of the Longbeards, and now the Slayers have piled in, but this is what I want. I want Grombrindle over here, because then I can fly back over and use the old bait and switch and potentially do a zombie summon right here. But I think actually I was going for a breath attack because I saw the Slayers. Or no, it was actually a quick invocation to hit my Graveguard, hit the Black Coach, as well as the zombie dragon. And I believe that'll pull the balance of power back towards the middle. So now we're going to be doing the trick I mentioned. The old bait and switch, the old switcheroo. The old fumble-rooski, as they say in football. LAHMIAN Vampire Lord going for the kill. One of the Master Engineers gets absolutely gooned by the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord. She's coming for blood, man. And that guy should be paying the blood tithe as he does get chased down. 323. 1 more attack should probably finish the job. There he goes, 1 HP, which pretty much means he's gone. And now we do pull a little bit ahead in the balance of power. Certainly feeling relatively comfortable at this point in the game. And we do have the other Master Engineer here that is away from his support, right? He's got the Slayers, he's got Grombrindle, got a couple other elements and some miners coming back, but I still have Graveguard Grey Opens. Do I have anything else lurking on the battlefield? No, not really, just a couple Cairn Race. Gotta be careful here though. Grombrindle's coming in with the boys. The boys are pissed. They've had their Bugman's brew, they're ready to go. And they're now going to be going after my Black Coach and the Graveguard. Graveguard will be bouncing over to the Ekron's Miners. Anything to get away from Slayers. At this point in the game, I believe I had about 4 zombie summons in the back pocket, so it's going to be really, really important to make sure I use those zombie summons effectively, and every single time I use them, I also need to make sure I'm tar pitting the Dragonback Slayers. But now you're really seeing the efficiency of the Master Engineer, right? He's able to just sit there and shoot at me, so I can't like fly around like I normally would like to and pick my fights. Little smoke bomb going down there, but thankfully it does miss my LAHMIAN Vampire Lord, who is probably going to be able to connect here, although sometimes when you knock over characters, you don't get to attack them. It's a really annoying mechanic, but there's one good attack, the tail whip on the Master Engineer. Black Coach is riding through the Peak Gate Guard on the other side. A really nice usage of Grombrindle Has No Fear. Makes all these units unbreakable, whereas some of them might have broke before, like these basic Longbeards, but keeps them going, man. Black Coach rolling in, a bounce of power, getting even more and more Vampire count favored here, but the White Dwarf is going to be a huge pain to deal with. As far as just a straight up duel, if I sit on the ground and battle Grombrindle with the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord, I will 100% lose, especially considering that we do have the Master Engineer here. But basically, trying to take that Master Engineer for a test drive, push him out of the formation using the Black Coach, but he keeps getting back up, and he's got that big Pimp Hammer as well. Made it pretty hard in melee. Really, really good AP values, to say the least. Now, Slayers are getting worn down, 28 models. The last of the Graveguard, though, I only have 23 left, so that was a little bit grim. Here we actually have a look at the 2 Peak Gate Guard left, but man, these flash bombs have been so good this game. Trying my best to just get rid of this damn Engineer, because I know if the Engineer is gone, I can kind of dictate the pace of the battle, and the battle is certainly in my favor here, as we really are getting some good damage on this Master Engineer. So the Engineer is broken, and it is a terror route, but then it turns into a natural break. We're going to be dropping another zombie summon right here to kind of tar pit the Dragonback Slayers and Grombrindle. And you can see we do a pretty good job of doing that. A lot of the Slayers, you can see their little mohawks kind of sticking out of the horde of zombies here. But the White Dwarf is on the hunt, man. He is going to be trying to run over there to rescue the Master Engineer. And the Dragonback Slayer is going to be trying to push away from the zombies, many of which will actually be able to get away. So my zombie summon wasn't quite perfect. I should have put it a little bit kind of further this way to create a true blockade. Only a partial portion of the Dragonback Slayers were blocked there, and therefore they're able to kind of run through. So we'll do a little bit of fast forwarding here as the dragon does fly kind of back and forth. And the Black Coach just charges the Slayers, and the zombies are waddling after the engagement. And we're just trying to get that Engineer, because I know if I don't get the Engineer, I'm not going to be able to dictate this battle. But Grombrindle gets a really, really good flash bomb there, and he's able to trap the Black Coach. And a couple of Dragonback Slayers, only 5 of them are applying that slow. And here comes the Rune Axe of Grimnir going into that Black Coach. They're absolute beauty. While the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord will be able to shut down the old Engineer there. So now we got a really close fight. It's my LAHMIAN Vampire Lord versus the White Dwarf. Going to be dropping a summon here and diving in, because of course, while the summons are active, I am allowed to cycle charge. But while I don't have any summons, in accordance with tournament rules, and this was of course a part of a best of 3 I played with Wary Wolf. If you guys want to see game 1 of the series, it was played. It was up on the channel a couple days ago. I believe it was the Empire Skaven versus the Empire. Anyways, here you can see the zombie dragon back up in the sky once again. I did see some Longbeards coming back. Going to be trying the old over-the-head breath attack, but a really, really nice dodge. He kind of sees it coming. Only takes about 300-400 damage from that, so that was a very, very good dodge. And man, those Dragonback Slayers have been an absolute nightmare this entire game. So I dive in, I go after the White Dwarf. We get some pretty good damage for sure, but Grombrindle coming in with the axe, baby. The 1-2 punch, and down goes the LAHMIAN Vampire Lord. And with that, the hopes and dreams of the Vampire Counts in this particular battle. So that was game 2 in our series. Game 3 will be going up in the next couple days. I'm not sure when. There's all sorts of fun stuff coming up on the horizon, but man, oh man, that was a really good match. Super well played. I thought I was coming ahead there in that end stage of the game, but he did a really good job kind of, pursuing and catching a couple elements. His flash bombs were really, really on point. But if I could have gotten that zombie summon and blocked the Slayers and then kept my Black Coach alive, I think I could have pulled it out, but he did a really good job getting away from that zombie blob and hunting me down. It was beautiful for sure. So 3,300 on the LAHMIAN Lord, great value for sure. Black Coach got about 860. But my Karen race really got dumped on. So did the Crypt Ghouls, but Graveguard Grey Opens always do pretty good in that matchup. Yeah, I still think the build's pretty good. Maybe my breath attacks could have been a little bit better. I still do like the Karen race here, but he did have some really good magic damage with the Fiery Rings of Thori, and that's very uncommon. A lot of Dwarf players I play in this matchup do not bring many sources of magic outside of Grombrindle and maybe Peak Gate Guard. So the Peak Gate Guard plus Grombrindle plus the 2 Master Engineers with the Fiery Ring was really, really able to counter my Crypt Ghouls as well as my Karen race. It almost makes me think maybe cut 1 Karen Wraith and just cut a Crypt Ghoul, get another Black Coach, and then just get more chaff units to buy time for your breath attacks. I don't know, something to think about. But that really gave me a lot to ponder in that matchup. Very well played to the Wary Wolf. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. And my friends, we'll be back with more replay soon. You guys take care, stay safe, avoid Nurgle's Plague, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care, guys.